happy to have you on the show, man. I'm a huge fan of you guys, so it's gonna be great
Thank
to
you,
have
John.
a opportunity to talk
Yeah,
with you.
thank you. Thank you.
Well, you guys got you got the new album obviously coming out. It was another about 2 months now, huh? May
Yeah,
24th.
yeah, May 24th, album number two, Pleasure Beats
Ple-
the Pain. Yeah,
Pleasure Beats the Pain. I
yeah.
uh I had a chance to listen to it a couple times through. I got the full promo. All
Great.
that all I gotta say is it's a great album, man.
Thank
It
you very
takes
much.
off right where the first album left off, but you can tell the maturity of the band, how it built from that first one to this one. And I call it, the best way to put this is a melodic hard rock monster.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's
Thank you, John. Thank you.
really good. So many great songs. We'll get started there. And you guys have, the two singles out. Um,
Yeah,
Moon Hits the Night and Crying Heart, which I think is an awesome song, both of those two.
thank
But
you.
in listening, Bad Blood is one of the
Yeah,
songs that stands out for me. It has that AOR twist, and Girls Got Troubles got that nice heavy sound.
yeah, yeah.
Tell us about, how this one came together. I mean, obviously with escape music and Khalil and what he does there. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, Khalil
Um,
is amazing, yes. But actually, no, the whole album was made and finalized before I even knew who Khalil was. So, so he came in quite
that's great.
process. But yeah, but about the new album, like you said, it's like, the next step for Remedy. And I tried to be a bit bolder, with the songwriting and writing a dynamic album, with a song for, everyone.
Right.
And I'm glad that you mentioned Bad Blood, because like that, on every album I like to, honor the legacy of bands like Survivor, Foreigner, and so on, music that I grew up with. So I try to have one song, in their style, just, to pass on a, hopefully pass on a good song to somebody else and inspire, the
Right.
next iteration, so they don't miss out on this kind of music. Uh, but yeah, I try to be, like I told, try to be a bit bolder with the album, try to, do a bit of everything. So I'm glad you liked it. It was you never know when you're writing music. It's like being in the snow for too long. You get to, you can't see clear
That's right.
after a
That's right.
while. So the same thing goes with music. When I'm writing, I'm writing the songs, producing it, and when the song is finished, I'm so tired of the song, so I don't know if it's something people even would like to listen to, or if it's I have no clue. But I'm glad if you liked it. Thank you.
It really is. It's nice, when I heard, like you said, Bad Blood, which I thought was a, excellent song, and you described it perfectly how I thought. Because that
Oh,
AOR, that vintage AOR sound,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. I love
it's
that
captured
sound. Love
perfectly.
it. Love it.
It has the big hooks and the screaming melodies, and what I like about this total album is every song kind of sticks with you. It sticks in your head. You're humming the chorus,
Great.
you're
That makes
tapping
me
your
so
foot.
happy to hear. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So you did a great job here, man.
Thank you.
That's,
Thank you very
there's no
much.
doubt about it.
And we when we released our first album, we didn't have a clue that, I didn't know that people would like it so much. So no, I just released an album, at the wrong month, late December, 2022. Now I found out that's totally the wrong, moment to release an album, but I didn't care, because I just, I
Right.
released an album and didn't think much of it. But we released it on December 16th, and I remember my email on the 17th was like poof. I had
Right.
a bunch of requests and people. I don't know what happened, but somehow, without any promotion, without anything, it reached out to people. And after that, it, things just took off, and we got a big tour together with Takida here in Sweden. We played on all the big venues here in Sweden, and after that I was so inspired, and so filled with energy. But yeah, guys like you, you get to meet wonderful people and have interviews, and people seem to like what you're doing. So that got me really inspired to do the next album. So actually,
Right.
this summer I started writing music, and I like worked 6 months really hard to get this album in shape, and I'm happy with the result, and I'm really glad to hear that you like it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And it does. I mean, it's kind of like your baby, putting it
Yeah,
together
yeah,
and nurturing
absolutely,
it the whole way.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like your baby. That's
You know, when I listen through, obviously to, the first album and, this new one, um,
yeah.
I like the, to look into it with you as an artist and ask you kind of what's the songwriting process for Remedy, because you guys have the nice big hooks and the riffs and the melodies. What's the process when you go in to write a song? What do you look for when you get started?
Yeah, well, the most important thing for me is that I feel something inside. My that's like the main point for every song. If it gets to be on the album, I need to feel that it feels right for me. And I've been in the music business my whole life, the pop industry mainly. Uh, and then my career was about money and career, and fame and fortune and all that stuff. But now when I have Remedy, it's like a different thing. I just want people to, I want to write music that I like and hopefully other people like. So when each and every song has its own journey. So sometimes it's a riff, sometimes I get a melody in my head, sometimes I just, come up with a line, a phrase or something. So every song is like its own, has its own history. So there's no like formula for how I do it, but my goal is always the same. I need to write a
Right,
song that feels good, that feels right, and have all the aspects that I look for in music. So yeah, a catchy chorus, that's what I grew up with listening to, and that's what I like. And
right,
if I get to come up with a good guitar riff, I'm happy, and so on. But I need to have all those boxes like checked. And
right,
when I
right,
have that, I'm satisfied. And sometimes it goes fast, and sometimes it's a long journey. Like Crying Heart, like you mentioned, that was like the start for Remedy, actually, when I think of it, because that was the first riff I ever wrote, like in hard rock metal style,
right,
whatever. That was like during the COVID pandemic. I lost all my jobs. And then I called my friend Søren Blomqvist, and he was writing for Joel and Turner. And Joe was
nice.
into like, Belly of the Beast. He was making that album.
Right,
And so I knew he needed a touch of metal in it. So I wrote that riff, but we didn't get the song in order. I felt the riff was good, and everything, one part was good.
right,
So we like made like 4 or 5 different versions of that song before I felt okay. Now I have it, like like I told you, all the boxes are
right,
are
right.
then green for me. So that was like, it took 5 years to get that song in order. And then if we on the other side, if I take Moon Has the Night, our first single,
Right.
uh, that one came really easy somehow. I just, got the hook in my head, and I started writing, and everything fell into place really fast. So one song takes like 1 week, and one song, the other song
5 years.
yeah, it's great. You never know. You never
Right,
know.
right.
But one thing I have, when my gut feeling's right, it probably is in place. So I'm never satisfied before, it feels right for me.
That's really great to hear that too, because you can, obviously this is a young band, you
Yeah.
guys 2022. But when you listen to you guys, you hear the professionalism and it sounds like a band, that's been doing this for, forever. And this is like your 10th album. It just seems like that
Thank you very
you
much.
guys gel very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. My ambitions are high, so I'm glad that that it shows. Yeah, but yeah, you know what? it's quite a journey before I'm satisfied. But when I am, and I feel that song is in place, uh, yeah, then it's probably is, yeah.
So that's good when you know to hear the backstory about how these are written. You know, like I
Yeah,
said, when I listen, you know, then I have a different perspective,
yeah, yeah,
you know, when I go into it. So it's kind of like
yeah,
a new journey every time,
yeah,
you know, when
yeah,
you go in. So that's really cool to hear. You know, when I hear, you know, Swedish melodic hard rock bands,
yeah, yeah.
I love what you guys continue to do over there. And it's and with Remedy, it's kind of like a little bit different than what some
How?
of the other ones are doing. I think the best way for me to describe that, it has a little bit more feeling. And
Oh,
what I mean by that, that it comes across, you know, it's still the heavy, it's still the melodic, but like you say, you know, when you put that piece of you into it, and you say, hey, this song, I don't want to send this out until it's perfect. I think I kind of hear that
thank
when
you
I
very
listen to
much.
the
I
music.
mean
So
a
that's
lot hearing
yeah,
that. And one other thing, that I also do with remedies. Today, the computers are so involved with everything. It's
right,
like if you only can sing a little bit, you can manage to get away, and the computer will fix it. If you
right,
can play guitar, somewhat in that direction, you can get it handled.
right,
Yeah. But with Remedy, I like to do it old school. You know, of course, we record everything on the computer, but you know what? I try to edit as little as I can. The music I grew up with, like I mentioned, Foreigner, Survivor, and also Queen had a big impact on me.
right,
When you listen to like Freddie Mercury, his takes, they are not perfect. His voice cracks, and the pitch is not always right, but the takes are perfect takes.
right,
Because they have
right,
a soul. They touch you inside. You get it vibrates inside of you when you hear
right,
it.
right,
And if you edit something, in my opinion, you kill this instantly. If you
right,
out tune the vocals, it sounds too perfect. You kill something. You kill the soul. I don't know how
right,
to explain, but if I listen to music today, driving my car, like pop music, modern pop. I love modern pop also, so I listen to a lot of pop music. But you know what? I never get goosebumps. Never, never, ever.
right,
How good or the song might be, because it's too perfect. But if I go, to a concert and listen to like Brian Adams live, just Brian and his acoustic guitar,
right.
and he sings fantastic, I could start to cry. And that's the difference. And it's not perfect. It's just like perfect for that moment.
You're right. You're right.
Understand me? So
I
that's what
do.
I'm trying to do with Remedy. The takes aren't, all the guitar parts aren't perfect, all the vocals parts aren't perfect, but they're good takes. And well, when I feel, okay, we got this one, then we have it. And it's what I'm trying to do. Especially like metal music today is so perfect. Everything is like in the grid and everything is like
That's
edited
right. You're right.
to perfection. And for me, it doesn't. I feel it. It's like artificial intelligence has taken over the business. So that's like the main thing I try to do with Remedy. I try to keep it authentic and real. And that's the same thing goes with our cover. It's like a real photo of a real hand, and real person has drawn everything. I don't like the
Mm,
stuff with AI modulations
right.
of
Right.
tigers and tigers and Back to the Future cars. You know, uh, it's something, I want it to be for real as long as I can. I try to avoid computers and artificial intelligence as long as I can. I know the day will come when I have to emerge to
Right.
that.
Right.
But
Unfortunately.
as long as I can, I will keep Remedy for real. And that's what I intend to do.
You know, that's great to hear that. That really is because, you know, people don't look at that piece of it a lot. I mean, everything is just so thrown at you anymore. And music comes rolling at you so much that people can't even keep up with it. You know, it's
Yeah,
nice to hear the artist, you know, it's something we can absorb as a
Yeah, but
listener.
I learned this when I was like a musical director for many pop acts here in Sweden, Billboard artists and so on. And I felt, when they started using like too much backing tracks, too much, auto tune and so on, I was
Right,
just like a hired gun then working for them. So I didn't have a say in this. It's their act and they can do whatever they want.
right,
But I felt, what on stage with them that we killed something, even though it sounded like massive, with all these synths and all these massive basses and drums and so on,
right.
and vocals, backing tracks and effects and everything. But, I felt as a musician, I felt, okay, we killed something today. It
Right.
wasn't the same as it was yesterday when we played without these backing tracks.
That's right.
So that, I have learned this by doing it. So even though it sounds massive, it's not the better way, I believe. So that's what I intend to do with Remedy, keep it like old school rock and roll. We just do our thing and do it as good as we can, and hopefully people will like it and enjoy it.
And I'm hoping that music kind of starts and artists start to go back to that,
Yeah, I
peaceful. So like,
believe we have to. It's
right,
been crazy. The last 10, 20 years have been like crazy. It's just I believe that
right.
we need like a new Nirvana. So, young kids to
You're
like
right. You're right.
crash the garage and play some rock and roll or something. I don't know what, but I think we will come there soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it seems like it's leading that way. I really hope it is. And you
Yeah.
talked about, that piece, that you put into this. And I think that just says so much about this, this music and what you guys do here. And I think that takes it's a different take than what a lot of the other ones are doing. Like you said, everything is processed, but this
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
really real life right here. Guys
Yeah,
getting out
I
there and
try to
playing.
do
It's
it
great.
as much as I can. That also go, with the lyrics and everything. I try to be as personal as I can and not write like classic, rock and roll lyrics about, girls and alcohol and whatever,
Right,
those
right,
things are gone for me. For me to get goosebumps today, I have to have all these aspects. I have to have good takes, not edited too much.
right, right, right,
Like it's
right,
live. I need to have vocals that I feel hits something inside me, goes to the
right.
heart, and I also need lyrics that mean something. So with Remedy now, like I told you, I'm not in for fame or fortune. I just try to do my best, and handle the legacy of the bands that I grew up listening to, and hopefully pass a song or two forward to the next generation. And if I could inspire, a young, the next generation to start writing music in this style, I would be, more than satisfied with what I have accomplished. Like, you know, this is music I truly love, so I try to handle it with care. Yeah.
That's great. That's great because we do need that. I mean, we need the bands to hand it off to the younger artists as they come up. Because
Yeah.
if we don't do that, then it just dies on the vine, and we can't have that happen. It's just
No,
too.
no, absolutely, absolutely.
So we talked about the Sweden piece, and one of my favorite bands out of Sweden is obviously Eclipse. I
Yeah.
first heard those guys, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like working with Eric on this? I mean, I know he mixed and mastered it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Eric's like a good friend of mine. I known him for 20 years.
nice,
Uh, and I knew, when I got the record deal for Remedy, I didn't have a band in order at that point. I just got a record deal with the songs that I wrote. Uh, so he was like my first call. I knew if I wanted to get in my vision in place, I need to have Eric on board.
right,
And thankfully he said yes and was very happy to be on board. So no, it's like a match made in heaven. We hardly need to talk because when I'm if I like, you know each and every song, we we don't need to communicate because when I play the riff, he knows instantly, okay, you're going in that direction, this direction, and
right.
and Eric is amazing. In my opinion, he's one of the best in the business, at what he
Great.
does. Absolutely, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it seems like anything that he's attached to, whether he's
Yeah,
producing or yeah, he
yeah,
just
yeah.
has it. You're exactly right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I just need to be clear, he has a huge impact in us sounding as good as we do. Without Eric, Remedy wouldn't be the same. So I love his work. Absolutely love it. So we're happy about our collaboration.
Believe me, the fans are going to be happy. Everybody that's listening here, when you see this thing come out in this album, you're going to be impressed.
Yeah,
Believe me, believe me.
great, great.
So let's talk about the beginning of Remedy.
Yeah,
How you guys got started, man. Obviously, 2022, but I know
yeah,
I'm sure it went longer than that. Tell us about that start.
yeah. Well, actually, I've been working as a freelance musician, a hired gun, like a musical director for pop artists here in Sweden, and also a bunch of musicals and so on. So my career, I grew up listening to rock music, and I studied like jazz and so on, but my career took me to pop. And thankfully, COVID came. Now I can say thankful. Then I was like depressed almost because,
Right,
in one almost one over one night, like 1 week at least, I lost all my jobs, look, all my tours, the musical I was supposed to do, everything
right,
was like oof, gone, So I lost my income and it was like a real tough time.
right,
And I almost lost my passion for music. I didn't touch my guitars for like 3, 4 months and so on. But when the summer came, I felt, okay, I can't let this like strike me down totally. So I need to get going. So I started to write rock music because, rock music was what first got me going with the guitar.
right,
And I instantly felt like, okay, this is something I know. This is a language that I knew. And I then, started writing songs for other bands like here in Sweden, Crazy Licks and One Desire in Finland and so on. And after a while, I kept a few songs for my own. And,
right.
at the same point of time, my neighbor, Robert van der Swan, Rob, he he was also having a tough time because he was having a battle against cancer. So no, I was home without any job because of COVID, and he was home with cancer in his throat, in his tonsils. So
Oh
in
no,
this room, exactly here, we recorded the demo for Living on the Edge from our
nice.
first album. And he was so sick, he was under treatment and didn't have any saliva production in his mouth. So we had a huge bottle of water standing right here on the table. And, between every phrase, he drank water so he was able to sing the next phrase. It was crazy.
Right.
But he sang amazing. And that was like the starting point for Remedy. So, the name Remedy, this was truly our remedy and an extremely difficult point of our lives. He was having cancer. I lost all my jobs, and
Right.
so that was what got us going. Cancer and COVID, crazy now, but
Wow,
thankfully he's doing well, and I
that's
also
good.
I'm back working now after the pandemic. But this was like the thing that got us going. And so we recorded a few demos, and I remember presenting them to a label, S Rock Music here it's a small independent label here in Stockholm,
Right.
and playing Living on the Edge. And the boss instantly said after listening to that song, okay, I want to make a record. So that was
That's
the
great.
starting point. Yeah, that was like the starting point. And yeah, but like I told you, we just made an album. It was like therapy for us during that time. So we just made a few songs, and I
Right.
thought, okay, maybe my family will buy this album and my siblings, and so on. But then, something happened. So we sold out twice here in Sweden, and we hit the top charts and so on. So it you know took off to another dimension than what I ever could imagine. So it
Right.
was, wonderful, and we got to tour Sweden. So in our first half year as a band, we toured Sweden. We sold out twice. We were second after Ghost on the top charts here in Sweden, and
That's
this without
amazing.
any yeah, 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 absolutely. It's for me, it's mind blowing. I can't imagine how this ever happened, but I'm happy it did because it took me in another direction. Before my career was about chasing the money. Now it's about, you know, following my heart and my gut feeling. So I'm really happy about that. I've learned a lot, and you know, I've evolved as a human being, I believe, in this process. So yeah,
Right.
we'll continue this path. You know, the money is like a byproduct. If it comes, it comes.
Right.
It hasn't yet, but hopefully it will one day. But you know, yeah, that's what I intend to do, keep doing now. Yeah, following my gut feeling and what I feel is right, and remedy is the path on forward. Yeah.
That's an amazing story though. You know, that
Yeah.
music brought, yeah, music brought you, you know, back
Yeah, absolutely,
full
absolutely.
circle.
And you know, music has that power, and I believe a lot of your listeners can relate to this. You know, if you have a period in your life, good or bad, music will help you either way. You know,
That's
you
right.
know this because music is like magic,
It
and
is.
I feel it like stronger for each. You know, I
That's
feel
right.
it's so strong for each year that it's magic in the air sometimes.
Yeah, it has a healing process. It has a
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's the ultimate art, the ultimate form of art, in my opinion. There's no doubt.
I agree. I agree.
You know, we talked about that debut album, you know, Something That Your Eyes Won't See, which I
Yeah.
think is fantastic. I remember
Thank you.
it was cool because when I first heard it,
Yeah.
I searched through YouTube a lot, you
Yeah.
know, and if
Okay.
I listen to one thing, sometimes something will come up. And I remember the first time I heard you guys, and, you know, what I liked about that album is that there was that rawness too, that, you know, that you mentioned a little bit earlier. It had the, you know, like Maryland, I Want to Have It All. My
Yeah.
favorite is Scream in Silence. And
Okay.
what was cool about that is I like the way Rob in that song, you know, when I listen to it, reminds me of Mike Tramp
Yeah.
of White
Absolutely.
Lion. That was just
Absolutely. Yeah.
so tell us about recording that. Like, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but what was it like putting that entire thing together
Yeah. Well,
for you
I can
guys?
share one story with you about that song. You know, I was on vacation. I come from northern Finland, so I was on vacation there, and I wrote this song together with my buddies Sören and Sven. And I also had my dog with me and my son. So we had a session,
Right.
and I wrote the riff, and we wrote like, you know, the verse and the chorus. And after that, I said, "Oh, I got to go home. I need to go for a walk with my dog." And after that, you know, I left them alone, and then they like made the next verse in another key. So, you know, when I got to the studio the next day, I think, "Oh man, this what have you done?" No, to write a top line, for me to write a melody that suits like two different keys, total different keys,
Right.
like A minor and D minor. It's like, okay, I told them like, you know, spontaneously, okay, this will never work. But after a while, you know, I sat down and I tried the different melodies and so on. So after a while, I found a few notes that worked in the, you know, both keys. So actually that song is, I'm quite happy with that one because it's what it was like you know, it was yeah, something I didn't think I would manage to be able to create, but I managed to like make a melody that works in two different keys. So that was like the story about writing that song. I needed to go for a walk with my dog, and and
And
they
then it
like
comes about.
yeah. And the
That's
lyrics, you
great.
know, when I was walking with my dog, I listened to a lot of thriller books and so on. So
Right.
and I listened to like you know, a girl being kidnapped and so on. So that was like a spin-off from the dog walk. So everything is, you know,
That's great.
that's a fantastic thing about music. You know what? It's just things happening around you, people you meet, food you eat, uh, wine you drink, whatever. You know, it can inspire you. So that was like just the circumstances regarding that song that created that song in that way, and it turned out really well, I believe.
Absolutely. And I mentioned earlier too that what I thought about the way you guys sounded on that first album because it was such a good stepping stone to where you are now. You know, obviously getting that deal with Escape and you know
Yeah,
and everything. You know, what I first heard, um, you know, like I said, I heard the song "Living on the Edge" was the first one I heard
yeah,
off of that one,
yeah,
obviously, and I really enjoyed the way the you know the video came out because it was you guys, you know, it was just raw, some
Yeah,
backstage
yeah,
footage and everything.
yeah.
Tell us about that video and kind of how that tied in, because that was, I'm sure that was kind of a launching point for you right at that stage, connecting
Yeah,
with the
well,
fans.
actually, yeah, well, like I told you, we had a lot of positive energy during our summer tour, and this was like, the final gigs, like final week. We thought, okay, we need to do, Living on the Edge, we felt that song was like our song, so we needed
Right.
to have a video, and we didn't have a video, so we called our good friends at Smack is their name. It was like video guys here in Stockholm,
Nice.
fantastic young guys that are creative and work really fast. And we told, okay, we only have a few days left on our tour. Could you help us out with a video? And they said, sure. And they came
Nice.
instantly. Yeah. So that's basically just, a few shots of a few gigs. And I believe a few of those are from Dalhalla, where we played after Kiss. It's like a fantastic venue in the central of Sweden. It's like a
Nice.
mine. It's like a cave almost. So
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
really neat. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite unique. So yeah, yeah. But I'm happy with that video because it shows us, we're not the tough guys. We go on stage, we smile, we have fun, and that's what Remedy is all about. Having a good time. So I think that video shows a lot of us, personalities and so on. So I'm happy with that. Yeah.
That's always good to hear the positive side of the music too. Guys
Yeah,
going up there having fun, because
but
that's what it's about.
you know we, we don't really know what we're up to, that it goes with the image. We're just ourselves. I don't look like, or I don't have any tattoos. I look like I do. I don't look like a rock guy, and we go on stage and we smile and we have fun. We don't try to look hard or angry or anything.
Right.
We
That's
just
right.
try to, yeah, we're just ourselves. So that's what I intend to continue with. Whatever we do on forward, we will be ourselves and enjoy the ride, and hopefully people will like it. If they don't, okay, there there are other bands, uh, but that this is who we are, and we're not, we're quite old now, so we have the courage to be ourselves, I believe.
That's right. Once you get to that point, you don't have to
Yeah, yeah,
impress
yeah,
everybody. You just got
absolutely,
to impress yourself. You're right.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
How about influences, Rolly? Like what are some of the artists that you pattern yourself after? And the other question I have is, what's an artist that kind of like outside the box, like you wouldn't think that influenced you, but did? Somebody would be surprised to know.
Yeah. Okay. As I grew up in northern Finland, and I was young in the 80s, and this was before internet and so on. Music was very limited for me. I only got what was inside my little world. And this was like a small village now. Kolby is the name of this village, and it's like, in the forest. But thankfully, I had siblings, older brother and a sister that listened to rock music. So I remembered when I sat in my brother's car. He had like this big stereo thing
Right.
in his old Volvo. I remember when I put a cassette in and I pressed play. And I remember the drums. Wow, this is amazing. And then something else came in, and that was a guitar. I didn't know it was a guitar back then, but it was Money for Nothing with Dire Straits.
Nice.
And I was just a little child then, but I felt, okay, whatever this is, need to learn it. Whatever this is, I must learn it. So that was like and I sat like for days just listening to that song like over and over again, because for me it was like the best thing I have ever heard. Uh,
Right.
and after that, I found a cassette in my sister's room, and it was like Rocky 4 soundtrack. So then I got to listen to Survivor and so on.
Nice.
And after that, I found another cassette in my brother's car, and it was Yngwie Malmsteen. And I was, is this guitar? How can you play like this? But as I told you, this was like so long ago. So we had an acoustic guitar at home, but it was
Right.
really hard to get going because, my father knew some chords, and he like taught me the little things he knew.
Right.
And my grandfather also knew like a few chords. So they taught me the small things that they knew. But when I was like about 11, I found out that there was going to be a guitar course in the next village. So then
Great.
I when I got there, things started happening, because then I got like, guidance. Then somebody could teach me how to play these songs.
Right.
And this was like in the beginning of the 90s. And after that, I remember I saved my money. I get Saturday candy every Saturday, but I saved it, and this was like the period when Freddie Mercury died. And then
Right.
I saved my money and took my bicycle and went to the store and bought Queen Greatest Hits 2. And that album has truly had a huge impact on me. Listening to Brian May, his melodic way of playing guitar and so on.
Right.
And for me, it was absolutely, I got chosen to be the guitarist in We Will Rock You here in Sweden and Stockholm, and was chosen then by Brian May and Roddy Taylor to have the guitar part, So that was like, for me as a young adult, guitarist, to just the knowledge of that Brian May has listened to me play guitar and selected me was like, beyond. So
Oh
that
yeah.
was like a huge thing for me. But, growing up, it was very, you know, I got one question in one interview at what was your best concert as, growing up? And I started thinking, I didn't have any concert. There were no concerts, as I grew up, where I
Right.
grew
Right.
up. When I was like 18, then you get to drive your car in Finland. So then I went to see like ACDC and Dio and so on. Uh, but then I was an adult. So, my whole childhood and my whole, teenage year, I was just, it was just the music that was on cassettes and
Right.
maybe some guitarists in the next village and so on,
Right.
inspired and so on. So yeah, looking back, it feels like, a total different world, before internet and so on. And
Right. That is
so,
true.
yeah, it was. But somehow it turned out quite well. You know,
Right.
uh, looking back, I believe it was good. I was a child and I was very naive and didn't know about, the obstacles in my career and so on. So I just, kept playing guitar and, imagining myself on big stages and so on. And after a while, it's, my career took off. And
That's
yeah,
really
I
cool.
got to do what I love. But if to mention something that's a little bit, special, that it has inspired me, it's like, ABBA's music and their guitarist Lasse Welander.
Right.
His sound. He plays on chess, a musical. He does this line, a few lines together with the strings and the orchestration and so on. And when I was a child, I got this album from my parents, a CD with the chess music and so on. So that has truly deep impact on me. And
That's cool.
also, I got to tour with the ABBA's band together with Lasse before he passed away. So that was like, for me growing up listening to his music, it was amazing, because then I went to his home and, he showed me all these lines that I grew up listening to. And he told me, you think it's two notes here, but if you listen carefully, it's just the echo,
Right.
just to sit down, have a coffee with him and listening him explaining all these guitar parts was truly amazing.
Wow.
So yeah,
That is
yeah, that was like a huge moment for me. And sadly, he passed away last year in
yeah.
cancer, but he was he has had a huge impact on me.
That's some great stories there. I mean, really just
Yeah,
thinking about that, and that's really what, you weren't influenced by, this overload of music and media just massively hitting you. You had that dream, and you were able to carry that,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
what made you what you are today. Great.
yeah. So it turned out pretty well without, social media. So yeah, it was like a different world. And I also, you know, today, sadly, I use my phone too much. You know, I'm online and you know, and it
Right,
takes the edge of something. You know, I had a lot of huge musical moments. You know, when my ra alarm went off, my radio went off. So went on. So you know,
right,
when I was coming away, you know, waking up in the morning, my radio was playing music,
right.
and you know, it was like I don't know how to explain. It was like these few minutes, you know, waking up and listening to some new music. Some songs, you know, still I carry them still today because they have had such impact. You know, when you're when you're completely your mind is completely like, you know, blank. You have just woken up and you get to listen to music. And
Right.
sometimes it's music that you have never heard, but you feel a connection. And
That's right.
what, what then the magic happens, you know, what I talked about earlier.
That's right.
So so you know, I'm gonna throw my phone away after this call, I believe, because I want to get back to that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but you know, I want to be tired in the morning. I want to listen to music. I want to drink coffee and listen to music and just let my mind, you know, be creative. Because you know, at that moment when I heard the guitar on the radio, I dreamt myself away, you know, looking at myself on big stages, you know, and so
That's
on.
right.
And this was like, you know, in northern Finland, a small village. But if you can imagine it, it can be real someday,
Right.
hopefully.
That's
Uh,
right.
yeah, but yeah, that what I don't now I don't remember your question anymore. But
No, no, no.
I
You
will throw
totally
my
covered
phone
it.
away.
I think we all need to.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I'm telling you, we all need to. You know,
yeah.
you mentioned that you know, obviously Dire Straits, No
Yeah,
Money for Nothing. Well, it's just a classic opening riff that as soon
yeah,
as you hear that first note, you know that song. And you also mentioned that Rocky Four soundtrack. And
yeah.
uh,
Amazing,
I mean
amazing,
the Robert Tepper song, No Easy Way Out, which is
fantastic.
an amazing song. I mean, it's you know that's one that stands out for me on that. That was such a great, you know, soundtrack too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love. I still listen, listening to it today. You know, when I
Right?
go to the gym, I put on Rocky Four soundtrack, and you know,
It
do
is.
my.
It's great. It
Uh,
really is a great one. You know, what I wanted to ask you is you guys have some, you know, the shows lined up, obviously coming up this year.
yeah,
Um, Tell us about that and what's on the way for Remedy. I mean, obviously May 24th, you know, we're looking at the new album, but I know there's a
actually,
lot rolling on.
yeah, we're gonna rehearse this weekend because next week we will have a tour that starts together with Key Marcello from Europe. So we will go on a
That's
big
right.
Swedish tour, and that will be, yeah. I can't wait to get back on stage with Remedy. It will be fantastic. And also, you know, now that we have a few new songs, it will be like, you know, we get new fuel in our tank. So I believe
Right.
it will be great. Yeah. And also we have a few gigs, you know, around Europe this summer. Yeah. But I feel, you know, we're still getting started, you know. So, you know,
Right.
I hope the next time we talk, we will be touring the world.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
Believe me, you have an open invite here in Pittsburgh.
Great, great. And take me to hockey.
Oh, absolutely. You guys come into town, we'll do that for sure.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
definitely do that for sure. Well, how about any last words, Rolly? I mean, you know, obviously you know, we talked about the album and the, you know, the tour and everything, but you know, this album, when I think that, you know, the fans are going to hear this, I think it's
Hmm?
going to take you guys to a new level. You know, working with obviously Khalil and Escape and the things that he does. I mean, I know he believes in his artists, and I think it's really going to, you know, take you guys somewhere. So
Great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Yeah, but final words, I don't really know what to say, but hopefully people will appreciate this album. Like I told you earlier on, I try to be a bit bolder with, you know, regarding the music because I felt our first album was good, but I felt it was like in the box for what melodic rock is. So this time around, you know, I go towards metal, and I also, you know, like the last song is acoustic ballad, you know, like
right,
almost like Beatles sounding ballad. I don't
right,
know how to put it. So I try to be a bit bolder, you know, and the boundaries are like I don't know how to put, yeah. So hopefully this is like the sound of remedy that emerges, you know. I like to keep the guitars like heavier and more towards metal, but you know, at the same time keep our melodies and the foundation of, you know, classic AOR in our music. Yeah.
Well, I love what you guys are doing, really. I mean,
Thank you,
like I said
John.
again, this is a great album. Everybody, listen to these guys. I mean, I'll be spreading the word. I'll be pushing the music and the videos and everything.
Thank you.
In closing, Rolly, I want to thank you for doing what you do. I
Thank
tell
you,
all the
John.
artists
Thank
this
you for
because
having me. Thank you for having me. Great chat.
it really means a lot to be able to, listen to you and what you guys do because it attaches so much to life. And thank you for doing that and making those sacrifices so we
Thank,
can listen. It means so
thank you.
much, man. It really does.
Thank you, John. Thank you.